Good evening, Assalamu Alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz. We've got the latest roundup of sports tonight once again, and we're going to be discussing things in detail. First of all, let's introduce our guests in studios. First of all, I've been joined by our cricket expert. He's a cricket commentator as well, and obviously has a very keen insight into the game and always talks about reality. So he will give you no shenanigans, he will give you the truth, and he's very straightforward. That's why we love him. He is K. Asif Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum, sir. How are you?
Walaikum assalam, and once again, thanks for the compliment, dear.
Good to have you on the show. We've also been joined by cricket expert, somebody who will really analyze the game. He's always sending us some good content on social media as well. He's got his eyes over everything these days. We will be talking to him in detail as well. Rizwan Haider is joining us. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed. Thank you.
Good to have you on the show as well. On that note, now let's give you the lineup that we've got for tonight. And in the lineup, we will be starting things off with cricket. And in cricket, it's the T20 World Cup for this year in Australia. ICC has just released the fixtures, and it's going to be once again an extravaganza where we know Pakistan and India are going to clash once again. All eyes are going to be on that game. You can have any tournament, you can have any series, but whenever it's Pakistan up against India, it becomes special. 45 matches, 7 host cities. A group, when we talk about Pakistan, they've got India. Pakistan is in that group. They've got South Africa, then they've got Bangladesh, and then of course 2 qualifiers will make it there as well. When you talk about Group A, then the other teams are placed over there. So it's going to be a good competition, and you know, I understand COVID halted many things, but one thing is for sure, that we've got 2 T20 World Cups side by side is surely a treat to watch. And in Australia, it's definitely going to be something special. And Australia is going to be defending the title, so I think they've got the upper hand here when you talk about this. 16th October when the tournament starts, and we will have all the action from Australia, and we're going to be wishing good luck to Team Pakistan. But like I said, the world wants to witness Pakistan-India once again. This time, Pakistan has the upper hand for the first time ever in a World Cup. So we'll be talking about that in detail. After that, we'll be moving on to the ICC Under-19 World Cup, where Pakistan have thrashed Afghanistan, and they have now qualified for the quarterfinals of the tournament. Pakistan absolutely played superb in all corners of the game. Batting, bowling, fielding, they were absolutely superb. We'll be giving you the details. We'll be talking about some specific players as well, but some good prospects for Afghanistan as well. I found that once again they're coming up with some mystery spinners. So that's good to watch, that their youth side still has a lot of talent, and for Afghanistan cricket in the future, I think it's a great prospect as well. So, but Pakistan has made it to the quarterfinals. We're hoping that Pakistan performs well and clinches the title. Obviously, it was a disappointing factor that we didn't win the Under-19 Asia Cup, but now we've got a chance to win this World Cup. We'll be talking about that in detail. After that, we'll be moving on to football. In football, we will be discussing the Carabao Cup. It has to be special. You had all the action that you wanted. Liverpool, Arsenal, whatever you want to talk about, it's there. We'll have a complete segment on football. We'll also be talking about tennis after this, and in tennis, we'll be giving you some details, some updates, and of course some champion cricket. And we'll start things off with the fixtures of the ICC T20 World Cup 2022 in Australia. So K. Asif Ahmed, one more chance to beat India again. That's been announced.
Yes, that's why I'm pretty much happy, and that once again we'll be playing against India in Australia. But the one thing is that we should have to concentrate that the bouncy pitches, either we are good to play on those tracks, there's the question mark, and either we got any sort of new talent in T20. Yes, Rizwan is there, Babar Azam is there, and Fakhar Zaman, and most likely Shoaib Malik will be joining the party as well. But this time no Mohammad Hafiz. So who will be replacing Mohammad Hafiz? This is the $1,000,000 question. For me, I'm not satisfied with Khushdil Shah and other guys, because they haven't performed well. And same problem with the Asif Ali as well, because you know he's very good to play in Asia, in UAE, but now this is Australia. He's not good with the short pitch deliveries. And you have watched that what happened against the New Zealand. He hit 2 sixes against Tim Southee, but the very next delivery was a very quick bouncer, and he was not able to play that ball. So we would have to, we got enough time now that, and we should start our preparation, and keep in mind that you're playing in Australia. You always struggle in Australia. So if you're not preparing preparing well in next 8-9 months, so I think that then it won't be easy for you. And India is pretty much good in Australia, and even they beat Australia in Australia. So I think that we should get some extraordinary preparations for the 2022 T20 World Cup, and I'm pretty much hopeful if Rizwan, Babar Azam and Fakhr Zaman, if they got the chance properly and if they got some momentum, then we'll be in touch. Once again, the question is, the one last thing, the question is our spinners.
Why last thing, are you leaving?
I'm not leaving, you know that I know that you're moving towards Rizwan Sahab, yes. So yes, the question is that our spinners, we do not have a good off spinner, and this is the question mark what we are doing.
And I think that's a very important point, because as you mentioned that there's no Hafiz anymore as well, so you don't have an option now in a good off spinner. You can try Shoaib Malik, but that's not effective as much as Hafiz was, or a genuine off spinner, because we tend to know that how effective that can be at times in T20 as well. But Rizwan, you're someone who's been always skeptical whenever our team's going to Australia, because you realize that it's over there, it's a bit different now. There's short pitch delivery, it's the quick deliveries, and Pakistan's batting traditionally has suffered in those conditions.
They've always struggled, but I think we should always look at the fact that there are three different formats: Test match, One Day, and T20. T20 usually they have supporting wickets. They're good for batting because they want to encourage the crowds to get 200 runs, 180, 190, and that's good for the crowd. People come in to watch sixes. If you ask me, they've lost the flavor of cricket by promoting T20 and having just so many. You have got a very small corridor for the batsman, because anything outside the off stump or down leg side becomes a no ball. So and we did win the World Cup as well in Australia. So and for the first time we've got a decent batting order to begin with. We're depending on Rizwan, Fakhr and Babar. We've never had that. We usually, in Australia it's Test or One Day. We are usually 30 for 3, 40 for 4. We've been out for in 62 as well in Test matches. So I think it's we're depending on them. But I like Asif's point. In 70 years of Test match, One Day and T20 cricket now, since we've been playing cricket, we haven't got decent off spinners. You can't name 5 decent off spinners. You've got Saeed Ajmal, Saklan Mushtaq, and then the third best would probably be Tausif Ahmed. That's for a team which plays in the subcontinent, which is home to so many leg spinners as well. Off spinner is the basic bowling formula that one starts with. And it's the easiest one to get, to have control over the ball. And it's surprising that we haven't got any decent off spinners at the moment.
Rizwan, sorry, Ahmed, I'm overlapping you. Rizwan, we got Bilal Asif. He's a very good off spinner. And if you do remember,
the singer too.
Yes.
Yeah. He can sing.
Yeah. So he was a very good prospect. I don't know that we didn't work on him, because I do remember his debut got 5 wickets against Australia.
Yes.
So what do you think that we should talk about the players like him? Yes, they came up, they started very well, and then they disappeared. I don't know what's happening.
I think the other Pandora box is that why opt for an off spinner only in Test cricket? Why don't you try him in limited overs cricket? Because with Bilal Asif, with Sajid Khan, we've only done this. We've only opted them. And the good thing was that Bilal was back in the squad when the team was playing a couple of recent series as well.
Yes.
But then again, you don't see him to be a permanent part of the Pakistan side. Or maybe, Rizwan, do you think that Pakistan doesn't need an off spinner anymore? Is it the team's too comfortable with Shadab and a left arm spinner?
No, I think you need a decent off spinner, especially for the left-handers. Hafiz was never a great off spinner, but he was very effective in T20s, even One Day internationals. Shoaib Malik, and Asif, I'm sorry. Shoaib Malik for me in Australia, come on. He's never done well in Australia. Neither has Hafiz.
Well, news flash, he's in Babar Azam's plans.
So he may be. But I personally don't think he's the right choice for Australia, because at 40 years of age, he didn't do when he was in his 20s and 30s. So you can't expect him to storm Australia.
But the question is that how could you forget his innings against Namibia?
Come on, Namibia.
Look, I'm totally with you. To be very honest, I strongly agree with you. But this is not. I'm not the person who is selecting the team. As Ahmed has just said that Babar Azam wants him. So what you can't
do anything about it.
Yeah, we can't do anything, isn't it?
I agree. I mean, basically, what we can do is say what we want to, and in the end, when the team is selected, go back the team.
And I
Even if
bet
he's
you
selected.
might be the same people praising Shoaib Malik, after this World Cup.
No, to be very honest, no, I won't.
This has happened with us before. We did it, and then we ended up praising a lot of these people, including Asif.
One strong point. You're hitting sixes against Namibia. Namibia is not a very strong side.
Who said he's in the side to hit sixes?
Look.
Did you not see the statement of your captain where he said that whenever I get stuck in captaincy, I go to Shoaib Malik for advice? Maybe that's why he's in the team.
Then he's making the wrong decisions there, not asking the professor.
No. Ask Babar Azam that. If there is no Shoaib Malik after 1 year, what would you do? Would you
long-term planning?
Would you make a call to him? This is not the question, dear. Yes, Shoaib Malik is a senior guy, but really nicely said by Rizwan that he's not a very good batter. He was not a very good batter, especially on the bouncy pitches, and you won't be facing all the time Scotland and Namibia. So this is the problem in Pakistan, that Asif Ali hit 4 sixes against Afghanistan, and we are praising him.
But I have a question. Let's eliminate Shoaib Malik from the equation for once. I've got a very important question, and I'll ask both of you. I'll start with you, Asif. That we are sure that Babar Azam, Rizwan, and Fakhar Zaman is going to be the top 3. At number 4, most probably it's going to be Haider Ali. That these 4 are probably in the lineup. The way Pakistan team is going. I have a very important question where we see Shadab Khan's ability to bat is exceptional. He's really worked on himself. He proved that in the PSL. He's proved that at times as well. Instead of having him so down the order in T20 cricket, where after the 15th over, you need obviously a charge, but Shadab is a character who can build an innings at the same time as well. Why not just bring him from 8 and 9 and try him at least at 5 and 6? Can we do that?
Very, very important point, and thank you very much that you are bringing this idea up and sharing your idea with our viewers. That this is your mindset, that why you are sticking all the way, why you're not thinking out of the box. I'm totally agree with you that, look, once again, Fakhar Zaman there's a question mark that either he would be extraordinary over the bouncy pitches or not. There's a question mark for him. But yes, Shadab technically is very good. Why is very good? That physically is very good, that he's a very good fielder as well. But one specifically we talk about is batting. He has improved a lot, and he has showed his class even in PSL, even in National T20 Cup as well. So I think that yes, out of the box and give him chance on number 5, even number 6, if you got slot. And if, for example, if he's getting 4 or 5 overs of the last 4 or 5 overs, and if he could do something special for your team, so why you're not bringing him on the number 5? That's a good idea.
What do you think, Rizwan?
I think it's a possibility. You could try that. Another thing is we haven't tried Asif Ali for when even the West Indies were here. That if something happens and you lose 2 or 3 wickets, you bring him in the 20th over or 25th over in the one-day internationals. Why do you keep waiting for him to come in the 17th over for the last 3 overs or in the 40th over in the one-day internationals? You have to make sure that he's given an opportunity to build on his starts, and there's a possibility he might do well as well. The other thing is Asif Fakhar got a 190 in South Africa. Those pitches are pretty bouncy
quick
as well,
and
quick. So I have lots of hope for Haider Ali and Fakhar. I think the top 4 are penned in.
And I think that would genuinely be the difference, because Babar and Rizwan would of course be there. But then when you talk about 3 and 4, that will genuinely be the difference as well. But the T20 World Cup will be there in Australia. The fixtures have been announced. Pakistan, India, South Africa, Bangladesh, and 2 qualifiers are going to be part of one group. Pakistan is going to take on India as well, which will be probably once again, I think, the sold out match of the T20 World Cup. All eyes there as well. We've done it now, so we can go into this World Cup more confidently because we've beaten India. So I think for the first time ever in our lifetimes, Pakistan has the upper hand over India going into a T20 World Cup. So we'll be seeing that as well. Moving on to the ICC Under-19 World Cup, we've got to talk about that as well, where our young boys have now moved into the quarterfinals. They beat Afghanistan in their game yesterday as well, where they performed exceptionally. So Asif, good things from these young boys are coming.
Yes, first I will talk about the good thing. That the good thing is that they struggled as a team, and this is really important, that when you are playing like a unit. And the captain is pretty much shrewd. I've observed him that He's always really talkative, and Qasim Akram, and he played lots of domestic cricket as well. So the good things are that they're very good in fielding as well, as we were discussing before the program, that we got 3 run-outs within the circle. It's really, really much appreciated, because I'm pretty much, I always really happy when fielders are doing a good job in the fielding, because you're dropping catches or you're missing the chances for the run out, and you're pushing your team to the corners. So the good things are that our spinners are bowling really nicely, especially I will talk about Mehran Mumtaz. Is from Rawalpindi, and the way he bowled last night, it was exceptional. And as you mentioned before the program that he was breaking nicely, and he got some quick deliveries as well, some armor deliveries as well. So he's a complete package. And the other guy, Maz, to be very honest, he's also a very nice guy. The way he bowled, he got some breakthrough for the team, and then they never looked at back. The important thing is that we are not good in our consistency. And this is the problem that with our national team as well. What happened in Asia Cup, we beat India and we lost against Sri Lanka in semi-final.
That was a low total match as well.
Yes. So now this is the important thing, that how we are calculating for the quarterfinals. And it would be really important game, and most probably that we will be playing against South Africa. So we had a good record against South Africa in under 19 as well. So I'm hopeful the way they are playing, we all are backing them. And bowlers, batters, I must talk about firstly the way he played. The important thing is that you already made a good debut for you. You got very good 3-4 last matches that you got 250s, I think. So I think the guys are playing really nicely, but this is the time to just concentrate where they are lacking. And if we talk about, and if we work on their mistakes, I think that we have a chance to finish it nicely.
Well, Rizwan, the boys are doing well, but the problem for me, I think the biggest fear is that so far they've batted first and won the game, which has been traditionally the Pakistani style to go about it. We talk about that semi-final in Sri Lanka against Sri Lanka in the Asia Cup, where they lost chasing. They couldn't chase a target of about 140 or something runs. So the problem still is chasing even in this level.
I think that happens. If you win the toss, you should try and chase a couple of games. But I think credit goes to Ijaz Ahmed as well. He's one of those people who's been doing, people like Javed Mirdad and all that. They always come in and start coaching the national team. But he's doing the Dravid sort of thing, with the under-19s for a couple of years now. That's good. I think Shahzad, Asif.
Yeah.
Shahzad's dismissal was something very strange as well. He got settled in, and then
threw his wicket away. I think that's the right way.
Yeah, you're right.
That sort of thing happens, but I mean they learn from experience. I think you were very right to point out that the two spinners Maz and Mehran. But I think credit to Afghanistan as well. They played well. They had this the person who cannot be named because I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah, very difficult name. I'll get to that.
But he bowled really well.
Yeah.
And they've got decent youngsters. They did pretty well in the Asian Cup as well. And on the international front, Afghanistan is a team to look forward to.
Definitely it is. But definitely we know that Pakistan has made it to the quarterfinals, and we want them to do well as well. Thank you, Asif, for joining us. Rizwan, thank you to you as well. On that note, let's take a look at our segment recap. And of course, we discussed a lot of things in this segment, starting off with cricket. We discussed about the ICC fixtures as well. And then, of course, we discussed the Under-19 World Cup, where we talked about Pakistan beating Afghanistan, and they've now qualified for the quarterfinals as well. So the Pakistani Under-19 boys are looking good. They're looking strong, and we wish them all the best for the quarterfinals and hoping that they win this tournament. On that note, we'll go towards a short break. When we come back, we've got more. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Sports Extra with me, Ahmed Nawaz. Time now to discuss our segment on football. In studios, I've been joined by my co-anchor, football youth coach and expert Sabeel Hazir. Assalamu alaikum, Sabeel. How are you?
Walaikum Ahmed. I'm doing well. A lot better than Arsenal fans and Arteta, I'll tell you that much.
Well, you've got a lot to talk about because we're talking about the Carabao Cup in detail. Liverpool got the better of Arsenal, 2-0. Not just that, also sent them off with a red card as well. So it was cherry on top for Liverpool.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see that first you have Xhaka getting sent off in the first game, then you've got Partey getting sent off in this one. They clearly have an issue with their midfield. Obviously, Arteta said it himself. He didn't really want to play him. He had to kind of play him. He came on for 15 minutes and got sent off. But that's not really what decided the game. The game was pretty much going in Liverpool's favour anyway. Jota had got his goals. He always does well against Arsenal. He has a fantastic record against Arsenal, not just of goals, of assists, and Liverpool tend to win. I don't know if actually he's lost to Arsenal when he's been on the pitch for Liverpool. He's played an incredible game, and Liverpool, I was very critical of them in the first leg, that Arsenal actually defended very, very well, and Liverpool, I don't think, had any onus to go and attack.
The game was pretty much scratched anyway, because I look at the possession and Arsenal fairly had the ball.
So exactly. So Liverpool, what I expected them to do in the first leg, they did now. And after the first leg, I was very harsh that look, without Salah and Mane, you still are expected to do well. You've had the recruitment you've needed. You've bought. You've had very good recruitment. You have good players on the bench.
It was a strong lineup.
Yeah, and they need to still be able to score goals without them. And Minamino was completely off the mark in that game. But luckily, Jota stepped up this time and he provided those goals. And Liverpool, this is the performance they should have had in both legs. But at the end of the day, look, they've got through both matches. They're in the final now. The issue is now Salah and Mane are staying on at AFCON because obviously their teams are doing well. They've got through the group stages. Whereas Partey obviously comes back because, this what's interesting is Arteta said that he was asked, do you think it's a mixture of fatigue and his travelling that he's let. He's like, no, I don't think that's it. He's just that kind of player.
So he's dead honest about that. He's left no table unturned. But obviously Liverpool needed this, not being able to hang on to much in the Premier League, so probably will take this.
Liverpool, definitely, you're right, I think needed a win here, especially considering, if I'm critical of them, that's one thing. People in the British media and in the press were very critical of them after the first leg. So they needed a response right now, especially because, as you mentioned, look, yes, now they are the main challengers, if you can call them that, after Chelsea's pretty much dropped out of the title race. But realistically, you and I have been saying this for a while, nobody's catching City, right? I don't see them putting up much of a fight in Europe as well this season, although I do think they're a very good squad, and with players like Salah and Mane, there's always a chance once they come back, and Van Dijk coming back, there's always a chance.
Yeah, with a complete squad.
Yes, 100% complete squad, they can do a lot of good business. But right now, I think realistically, this is a cup they should aim to win, and I think they expect it to win it. Yes, they're facing very good opposition in the final, and it could go either way, but they should really take it seriously and attempt to win a final. And now that you're in the final, you may as well play a strong side. Depends who's available.
I think more than the players, probably Klopp needed this, because it's been a while since I saw him smile. So
yeah, so Klopp, definitely. Liverpool fans, they all need this, and the people who did not need this was Arsenal. Obviously, Arteta did not need this at all at the moment. And now the worst part is, for the weekend's game, they've pretty much got no real holding midfielder there. They'll have to start with a similar formation to what they did today. They don't really have Xhaka or Partey or any of these players to fall back on.
They can take Maguire if they want.
They can play Maguire. I think they are not going to take them. Ahmed, I do not think you're going to be able to get rid of Maguire that easily.
Well, that's I think burden that we'll have to bear as long as we have to. But elsewhere, it was Tottenham and Chelsea had the better as well. And obviously a Liverpool-Chelsea final is always going to be interesting.
So yeah, we discussed those matches in detail. Chelsea, again, I don't think Spurs would have done much in a final. They don't seem to perform in the big we saw it in the Champions League final, but you can forgive them for that. But generally, when they get far in competitions, at least in my lifetime, they haven't really seemed to be able to get the victories.
But it's interesting, because I want to ask you this, that Liverpool's style of play and the way they've been going about now, and then of course you mentioned a couple of their players factor as well who might not be part of this. Them going against what Thomas Tuchel brings on for Chelsea is going to be really interesting to see what kind of planning do they go with.
That's a good question. The thing that we do know is that, look, Liverpool play a gegenpress style football. We know that's going to happen against Chelsea as well. But the question arises, what players do you have available? They haven't had the best time. Look, coronavirus aside, they haven't had the best time with injuries even as well,
absolutely.
Right? So yeah, and AFCON, look, God forbid that the players come back injured from there as well, right? That's not something you want, two crucial players getting hurt and coming back. So it really, you don't want to jinx it right now by saying, oh look, well, they will have a full strength squad by then. There's a good chance they may not, with fatigue and injuries. And Chelsea, although they've struggled so far, I've been very critical of their poor rotation and the mismanagement with injuries and other such problems. But I do think by the time February comes around, they'll have a lot of people recovered, while Liverpool will have a lot of people fatigued, and then it'll be the other way. Liverpool will be struggling with rotation, and Chelsea would have had a good kind of rest and rotation by then.
But interesting, both sides want to have more of the ball, so probably a goals galore is what we want, but it's really going to be a tough competition on that note. Let's take a look at our segment recap for football. And in the segment recap, we of course will tell you that we discussed about the Carabao Cup in detail. We'll discuss about factors where Liverpool have had the better of Arsenal. They've won it now. They've made it to the finals. Liverpool probably needed this the most right now, and it's going to be an interesting one as well. On that note, we'll go towards a short break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back. We are back once again. Time now for our segment on tennis. We've got a report. Let's take a look at what's happening at the Australian Open.
Top seed Ashley Barty kept her unblemished record this year intact with a straight sets demolition of Camila Giorgi to inch closer to a maiden Australian Open title. On the other hand, defending champion Naomi Osaka didn't make it to the much-anticipated fourth-round contest against top-ranked Ashley Barty at the Australian Open. Amanda Anisimova, a 20-year-old American, ranked 60th in the world and showed that so-called final before the final won't happen when she beat the four-time major champion. It's the fourth time Osaka has been unable to defend a major title. Meanwhile, world number 3 Alexander Zverev powered his way into the last 16 of the Australian Open with a superb serving display against Moldova's Radu Albert. The world number 3, still seeking the Grand Slam title that many have predicted for him, struggled with his serve at times but was always in full control as he set up a clash with Canadian Denis Shapovalov.
There you have it, all you need to know about the Australian Open, but you cannot talk about tennis right now in these days. You're not talking about Ash Barty. She is absolutely ruthless, and Sabeel just gave me a shocker about her age.
Yeah, so I was talking to you during that point. I mentioned that, take a guess as to how old she is. She's younger than me. She's April 96, 25. She plays like she's been around for ages. People are often shocked when they Google her age because not only has she been around for a while, she dominates and she plays with the consistency that you expect of a top level pro who's been there for a long time. But same with Naomi, by the way, she's been in the game since she was a teenager. So when I say, they're 25 or they're younger, that doesn't mean they've only been playing they've been playing at the top level since they were teenagers. Mm-hmm. And she is I've been saying this since day one. I think she is the outright, even the bookies' favorite is to win is Barty.
Yeah, but credit to you because Osaka is also out. But we'll come to that in just a second. We've also been joined by a tennis player and fellow anchor at PTV World, Mehak Khokar. Mehak, Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great as well. Mehak, what do you have to say about Ash Barty? Who do you think is probably going to give her competition in this Australian Open?
Well, honestly, I was really looking forward to Naomi Osaka and Ash Barty fourth round. Just like you said, it would have been the final before the final, and I thought, Naomi Osaka was playing pretty well. But unfortunately for her, Amanda Anisimova beat her in an amazing match, which went into, the third set was a tiebreaker, and she won that 10-5. It was absolutely fantastic to watch. But honestly, I think one other player that I think is playing really well, and she's also really confident at the moment because she started off her year well. She just won a tournament before coming into the Australian Open. I think it's Paula Badosa. She also just won a 3-set thriller where she was exhausted. But, it's just that fighting power, that fighting spirit that you saw in her. Even though, she was literally about to fall on the ground, but she did not give up. She kept on grinding for every ball. She made sure she gave every ball back. And, that just shows, I think in tennis especially, or in any sport, specifically if you're a fighter, that's what really determines how far you're going to get in the sport. And so I think a good, competitor for her for Ash Barty will be Paula Badosa as well. And we've still got a few other players left in the draw to see how that folds as well.
Yeah, Mehak, what about Victoria Azarenka? She got the better of Alina Svitolina and knocked her out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I honestly wasn't expecting that either. That was a very easy and convincing win for Victoria Azarenka. Even though she is a former Grand Slam champion, and we know she's got these beautiful ground strokes, so smooth, so powerful. And, you know, we know when she's playing at her best, she is absolutely unbeatable. But at the same time, Alina Svitolina, you cannot take her lightly. Again, she's a fighter. She gets everything back in the court. She knows how to construct a point. She knows how to play a point. And I really wasn't expecting such an easy scoreline. I mean, 6-1, 6-2. It's just absolutely incredible. So, you know, I feel like Victoria Azarenka, you can never, ever rule her out because we know what she's been capable of in the past. And, you know, she can definitely do some damage yet again. So, yes, she is definitely a contender.
Meg, final question to you. Is Nadal going to get that 21st Grand Slam?
I really think he is. I mean, have you seen the way he's been playing? He's absolutely been dominating so far, you know. And since this year has started, since he started playing again this year in Australia, we've only seen him dominate. I mean, I know he still hasn't played any of, you know, the top players till now, but I really do think that he's just in it to win it, you know, like.
In it to win it, that's
true. It just
true.
feels like we're seeing the old Nadal again. So I really
Definitely. Meg Coker, thank you so much for joining us on Sports Extra. Right, Sabeel, you know, let's just come to the men's side. And Rafael Nadal keeps on going these levels now, and we've talked about the fact that he's probably one of the favourites now who's going to ace this Australian Open and also get that 21st Grand Slam, which has been the biggest talk of the town when you talk about tennis. One more step done.
So I've mentioned that, you know, this is the first time he's playing without Djokovic or Federer there, since obviously those rivalries have been ignited. So this is his best chance, in my opinion, to get that 21, even though obviously we still have Roland Garros and these other places to go. But I still think this is his best chance. That being said, I still think Medvedev is the favorite. I think Nadal will not win his 21st, even though I think it's not by a big margin. I'm saying that Medvedev's my favorite. It's a small margin, but he still is. And I do not think Nadal will claim his 21st title. But if there's any tournament to do it, this would be the one without his two main rivals, especially Djokovic. Without Djokovic there, this is a big, big chance for him to go and get 21. And look, credit to him. Mehak mentioned it's like watching the old Nadal because he's so dominant and so explosive. He seems a lot younger. He's a lot quicker off his feet as well. So it does seem like whatever training he's been doing to get back to this level of sharpness has worked. And obviously we're talking about the men's now, but just a quick thing on the women's was Naomi getting knocked out, right? That's kind of the opposite, where I thought, look, she's just coming back into it. She hasn't reached that sharpness, which is why I said I don't think she's much of a contender. She's a black horse because of the caliber of player she is, and she can always pull out that top-notch performance. But based on how she was performing and her just coming back, that's why I thought Barty was the outright favorite for the women's. But for the men's, yes, Nadal I do think has a good chance, but still not the favorite for me.
Definitely. Okay, Sabir, I'll take your word for it because these days your predictions have been going spot on. So if there was ever a time to bet on Lotto, I would probably talk
Except
to you.
Kenan, obviously, because she got knocked out. But apart from that.
Definitely. But Sabir Hazir, thank you so much for joining us on Sports Extra. Let's take a look at our segment recap. And it was tennis that we were discussing, Australian Open. We talked about Rafael Nadal, who's made it through as well. But before that, we talked about Ash Barty, who's made it through once again. She's now the clear favorite to win when you talk about the women's side of the Australian Open. Naomi Osaka got knocked out as well by Anisimova. And then elsewhere, we had Victoria Azarenka, who got the better of Alina Svitolina, and she also qualified. But obviously, Nadal and Zverev have made it through to the next round once again, and looks like a tough competition coming up. And of course, Daniel Medvedev is also in there when you talk about the names that could probably win this year's Australian Open. On that note, that's all we have time for. From me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now.